When Jesus came, he was not what people were expecting. He fulfilled all of the prophecies about the Messiah while flipping the script on people's expectations of what the Messiah should be. In Jesus' time, the Jews were under Roman occupation. Unsurprisingly, many had expected the Messiah to free them from this oppressive rule. But Jesus had more important things in mind. We see interesting juxtapositions in episode 3 of The Chosen's second season. Among these include Jesus healing various Samaritans while leaving little James uncured, and Mary's story of the Son of God, the Lord of all, being completely dependent on her when he was born. Perhaps the most important of these is the fact that Jesus came to save us, but not from the things that we expect him to. A lot of us today expect things similar to Jesus' disciples. When we finally find God, we expect him to solve our external problems, to save us from disease, from losing our jobs, from the oppression of strangers, and from poverty. For some of us, these things do happen. Like the Samaritans who came to believe because they were healed, there are those who come to the Lord through healing and salvation, and that was enough for them. But for others, like little James, God does not bring healing. For the disciples who were closest to Jesus, God did not grant riches. He did not give them a comfortable life. And this gives us a clue as to what was important to Jesus, what was important to God. When we are left alone with ourselves, without the presence of God, we find nothing but anger, jealousy, bitterness, and pride. In whatever situation we find ourselves in, if God isn't there, it is eventually tainted by our inclination to sin. And just like the disciples, we find ourselves disgruntled and unsettled. Thankfully, Jesus saves. He comes to save us from ourselves. His presence brings peace to any situation, and that is more important than being saved from any predicament, than being cured of any illness, than being free from any debt. To Jesus' closest friends, he showed by example the value of holding on to God, of doing his will, regardless of how hard it seemed to be. It is the same thing that will allow us to weather whatever life brings us. Allow God to save you from yourself by letting him into the campsite of your life with all its bitterness, anger, pride, and resentment, and allow him to find his rest in you. He isn't waiting for you to become holy before he comes. He comes because you cannot become holy without him. God bless.